Order now at macros.com.au.
Welcome to GTV ANZ, the gaming channel created by Ubisoft. Every Tuesday and Friday on YouTube, we'll be doing fast plays, game challenges, 1v1 face-offs, and so much more. You happy?
When did we get a dog?
It's a good question.
I'm running out of time. I'm running out on a feeling song. I'm running out of time.
And now, it's all on the save. The player heroic.
The final Playday here in the final stage of 2021 for Oceanic Nationals, presented by Samsung. And I got some handsome gentlemen joining me once again on the desk. It's the ever-lovable Dev Marta and one of the bigger brains in our region, Vars. Vars, I'll go to you first, mate, because I've spoken to Dev far too much recently. How are you feeling coming into this final Playday of your first stage being on the desk?
Yeah, no, I'm feeling good. Man, this stage has gone really quick. Like, I don't know if it's just kind of like that for casters, but it just kind of flew by quickly. No, but I'm really excited. You know, I'm with the best of the best, of course. And I think today is just such an insane day. I mean, we've kind of had a look at the ladder already, and we'll talk about it later, but what an important day today.
Yeah, it certainly is. And Dev, we might go to you first as we have a look at the standings, and we can start to talk about what Vars was just alluding to there. This stage 3 has kind of left the door open for so many possibilities.
Yeah, it's so exciting seeing finally stage 1 and stage 2 looked a bit similar on the standings. Stage 3 has not whatsoever. We are in the last Playdate. The top 5 teams will be seeded into our gauntlet playoffs for next weekend, and every placement you get above 4th gives you a free match in that gauntlet bracket. The bottom 2 of the whole 2021 season, which we should know pretty closely at the end of tonight, will have a relegations match ahead of them into OCL. Now, Wildcard's already locked in to be playing in relegations out of OCN for OCL. They're going to have to fight grimly for their spot. Order can't make playoffs. We've got 3 teams in the mid-pack, Rhythm, Overt, and Roffle, who can all make playoffs depending on their results tonight. And of course, those 3 teams at the top, the best in OCE, Knights, Bliss, and Chiefs, are all going to be gunning for that #1 spot from the standings that seeds them directly into the grand final.
It's going to be a big night. Let's have a look at the schedule. And Vars, I'll come to you first on this one. What matchup are you most looking forward to tonight? I know we've probably got our eye on that first one, but is there anything outside of that?
It's kind of hard. Like, I feel like every match has a lot of importance. There's nothing that really stands out in terms of like a head-to-head, no really big teams versus each other. The Ruffle wildcard's kind of interesting just because I feel like it's a bit of a, not rivalry, but there's a bit of history between those teams. So I think that will be important, a good one to watch. And yeah.
Look, I'll be honest. I saw a tweet earlier, OJ saying that Pat kicked him off the former roster that was Rhythm way back in the day. So who knows, maybe there's a bit more to that than what we know. But let's have a look at the predictions. And Dev, we'll go to you first. Have a chat about what we're seeing tonight. I actually don't remember looking at it. I think this is actually a decently spread night, all things considered.
Yeah, very actually surprised to see so much spread in each of these results. Amazing to see how much hype there is for the underdogs upsets for the first match and the last match. Overt have just come from Challenger League, OCL. They didn't play in OCN Stage 1 or 2, and they're going to be tonight playing the Stage 1 and Stage 2 OCN champions. So there is no doubt that Chiefs are the favored one, but Overt have shown that they have a lot of promise. And it's the same story for that final match today. Rhythm has been absolutely horrid for the whole year up until these last couple of play days where they have made a name for themselves. They have a chance at locking in their OCN 2021 spot depending on how they perform and how Overt performs. And of course, Knights being such a strong team will be a challenging one. I feel like it's pretty... the only clear-cut game is that match 3.
It feels like it. It feels like it. But Var, surely it can't be that much of a deal. Like, surely ought to have some chance in this.
It's definitely not. I think with all these predictions I was saying earlier that I was just on the fence with every single one of them. I don't know. I was just kept going back and forth. For Order and Wildcard, look, they're already in relegations. So today, there's not a lot of importance for them to win. To be honest, they're probably just gonna, hide some strats or something. Just kind of play for a bit of fun, which is kind of unfortunate. Even if Order win, they lose the head-to-head to Ruffles. So
yeah, it doesn't really matter what happens for Order now. They're going to be 7th place and maybe even 8th place. Of course there's pride to salvage. God damn it, Dev, you've always got to be the nice guy here. But there are some pretty crazy storylines. You look to Overt and Rhythm. Rhythm looking to secure their first finals playoff in 2 years. Ruffle looking to go to a 3rd playoff in a row, which when you look at the teams we've got in OCN, it's quite shocking. However, one of the biggest storylines we've got coming into Stage 3 is Overt, and they're playing against the Chiefs. And guess what? It is the match of the day. This is a big one for Overt. They could secure playoffs in their very first stage in OCN, which is just insane. I mean, they'd be backing up what Rufflecopter were able to achieve way back in Stage 1. But nevertheless, this is a big one. We got a $50 giveaway from M-Wave. You do have to be over at twitch.tv/Rainbow6ANZ. Now, of course, we'll explain to you a little bit later on. I suppose a little bit later on, Dev. We're gonna be talking, but we will explain how you will enter that giveaway. Just make sure you're over on that Twitch channel, because that is the only way you'll be able to win yourself a $50 M-Wave giveaway. But gentlemen, let's start talking about this matchup a little bit more in depth. Vas, we'll go to you first on this one, because these two teams, they've been doing really well. I mean, Chiefs have just had a phenomenal year. There's no doubt about it. They're doing well, even in APAC South. More so, OCN has been incredible. But Overt is really the team I want to isolate here for you and get your thoughts on them, because seriously, Stage 3 has just been something else.
Yeah, they've shocked everyone with their performance. I've mentioned it a few times from their games, but just their confidence coming into this season is incredible. I love their interviews, especially when we get a bit of insight on their mindset, because they knew that they were in relegations. Well, that's what they thought coming into this season, and despite that, they were hungry for wins to take to the top teams that have that confidence in each other and themselves, and it's just been incredible. Each game I've seen from them, I haven't really seen any fundamental issues, even the games they've lost, and I just think there's just so much potential for this team in 2022, and yeah.
No, that's fair enough. I think that we can all echo that statement. There's so much promise around this roster, and they've shown us more than enough to make us convinced of where they're headed. Now, let's have a look at their opponents. It's back-to-back champions. It's the Chiefs, and they're looking to make this a 3rd stage in a row, Dev. We talked about this team building a dynasty. Have they done it?
They're certainly well on their way. I feel like it's just the natural progression now for the Chiefs to knock out another championship for Stage 3 and then go on to win the season finals, which we'll be having later in the year. But for now, this is the next step in Chiefs' legacy. Of course, Vast, you departed from the roster. You were one of the founding members of this roster way back in the day. You and Godleech had been playing together forever. But all good things come to an end. We stole you for the desk, and Ethan came out of retirement to replace you on this roster, and Chiefs have looked never better, sorry to say, Vast. They have been on the up. While OCN hasn't been quite as strong for them as Stage 1 and Stage 2, they're looking really good in APAC South, and it's certainly on the table for them to take a 3rd championship in a row. But what is there more to say about this team? I mean, how can they get any better?
I guess that is the big question from here, Vast. I mean, do we look to their international performance maybe to kind of put a benchmark for them, the next benchmark that we set them at?
I definitely think they're close to it. I still see, a few issues carrying on from when I was on the team in terms of consistency. It is hard to manage APAC South and OCN, but I still think there's a few things that they really need to strengthen leading into next season, or next year, I should say. But, they're definitely really close to pushing that level of, international. And I mean, next week, I'm pretty sure, I haven't looked at it, but pretty sure there's a chance for them to make the major, so.
Yeah, that's something that we're going to have to dive into, Dev, I guess, eventually when we do get there. But we're here and now, and this is the main focus, because OCN, there is still a spot up for Overt to take in terms of their Stage 3 playoffs. But I think the Chiefs are trying to fight for that really first. I don't know, can they finish first place? They can, can't they? They've already beaten Nice, so that's huge.
So Chiefs at the moment, they're looking to push for that #1 spot in the standings, which will see them straight into the grand final. They will have to win in regulation and pray to whatever gods they follow that Bliss and Knights will lose in regulation. So Chiefs are actually fighting from behind here. It's going to be quite a tough slog for them both, for all of the Chiefs guys, to try and get their heads above those two teams. That said, in the past, Chiefs have won 2 championships while seeding into 2nd place. So perhaps that's where they'll set their sights. The stakes for Overt, though, as we said, they can push for playoffs. A regulation win will lock them in, irrespective of Rhythm and Rufflecopter's results. But there's also a chance they can avoid relegations. It's really slim, though. They will have to come first in the entire league. They'll have to go all the way through the gauntlet, win the grand final, and hope that Rhythm gets no better than 4th place. So Overt are a team where it's like nothing to lose, dream big.
That's it. There's really, it's go big or go home. And I mean, go home is not even that bad for them. They're just going to be in the same position they were going to be in anyway coming up from OCL. So let's have a look at the map, Vito. And Vast, I'll definitely lean on you one first. On you one first. We're getting there tonight. Because Dev, I'm sure, will look at the stats of this one and start to break it down a little bit more. But Oregon is where we head. This surely is a good sign for Overt.
Yeah, definitely. I'm kind of confused by that. I felt like Oregon, Villa, their best 2 maps. Perhaps Chiefs are thinking, we got some info on the Oregon. There's some things we can exploit. That's the only logical reasoning I can see for Chiefs banning Chalet Banks. Kind of interesting.
Aren't these the 3 Chiefs' best maps? I'm so confused right now.
Clubhouse, Villa, and Oregon. I don't know about Villa so much, but definitely Clubhouse.
Club, Bank, and Chalet. Bans.
What they've banned out? Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, I didn't even see it. I was going to say Club is definitely a pop. Yeah. Okay, Chiefs leaning into it.
I don't like to say hiding strats, but I don't know what's going on here.
But the thing is, with what's coming ahead, it could be a good opportunity for them to have maybe played a different map altogether. They've left it in Overt's hands. So, I mean, what are we thinking, Dev? Oregon, is this really favouring Overt here?
It is one of the 3 maps that they play. So far, they've only actually played 3 maps in OCN, and it's the one that they lost to Knights 5-7, which is a very commendable effort. That was in their debut. And they also beat Order 8-7, a very close game, but a win nonetheless. I think this is a decent spot for them to go. I think Overt will be quite happy with how this veto has panned out. That said, this isn't a map that Chiefs play very much. In fact, this is almost always their 1st or 2nd ban in their veto. So this is a map that Chiefs doesn't like to go to. And the last time they did go to it was actually in the OCN Stage 2 grand final, and they beat Bliss 7-2. So while this is not a map that Chiefs play very often, this is certainly one that they can carry a lot of firepower on.
Fair enough. And Vast, are we holding hopes here for Overt? The fact that they're kind of coming into this opportunity with playoffs on the line. I mean, should they win or lose? I think there's still a world that Rufflecopter would have to win their game. But regardless, they do want to be taking all 3 points here. Do we think 3 points are on the line, or Chiefs not going to let it get that far?
I mean, yeah, just looking at this game, Oregon, there's not much info on the Chiefs, so that means that Overt haven't really been able to kind of study their playstyle on that map. Sure, they could have studied their general playstyle, but I think this match, because Overt don't have that information, it'll definitely come down to who's playing more aggressive, who's dictating the pace, and who's adapting better.
Okay, so quick final thoughts before we get into this one, Vast. Have you got a scoreline for us?
Unfortunately, I'm going against the Chiefs today. The first time this season. Had to mix it up. I think that it will go to OT probably like 8-6, I reckon.
Oh, bang? Well, there's only one way to find out, and that is to get into the server. Thank you once again for joining us, Vast, and giving us your thoughts. It's time to get underway with the first game of the final Playday here in Stage 3. It is a banger. Overt and Chiefs, both with so much on the line here, Dev, and we head to Oregon.
The back-to-back OCN champions versus the newest team to the Oceanic Nationals. No doubt a David and Goliath, but one that we see so much promise in. Overt took the Stage 1 championship in the Oceanic Challenger League. Stage 2, they were the runners-up. Now in Stage 3, they have their shot in the big leagues. But to make it to the playoffs, they will have to take down the Chiefs.
God, how fitting is that? It's the big dance, and they've got to take on the big team. Let's have a look at the bands so far. Yana and Overt getting their choice of the attacking operator.
Oh, hello.
Oh, how is this one of the first? I feel like this is one of the first times I've actually seen Finker banned. Okay,
Yeah.
so all right, don't hold me to this. According to the wonderful team over at Liquipedia, this is the first time we've actually seen Finker banned in Stage 3. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I just want to look at Ethan's face right now and see his reaction to that, because he's become a bit of a Finker main these days. He tears it up on the Finker, be it in OCN or even in Ranked. I've seen him absolutely destroy people. They're going to hit them with the Jaeger ban. Look at the laughs come out as well from the Chiefs boys. And Twent is very surprised at that. Elements has got a bit of a sketchy look on his face. This is a very, very spicy operator veto phase. And honestly, 3 out of 4 bans that we very, very rarely see. The Yana and the Finker, funnily enough, kind of 2 of the cuts of the same bread, right? Like, they're operators that have the Gon 6 +2 frag grenades, so your heavy projectile explosives operators that you would usually bring. We're going to need to see a lot of that Flores used wisely, a lot of Ashe, maybe some Zephyr, maybe even the double Ashe and Zephyr to make sure that a lot of this util is cleared out. Funnily enough, though, the Flores is 6 picked off of, the Ying brought in instead, and it's not like we have a lot of shields on the defense either, so we are really kept on our toes here, Rob.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting first round, that's for sure. I dare say we're going to see Chiefs kind of roam above a little bit. They've got the Vigil on Ethan. They've also got the Fisho guy. They've got the Mute on Fisho guy, who can, of course, decide to help Ethan on that top floor, or, you know, wall denial if they want to. The HP Omen community vote is actually favoring the Chiefs. 57 to 43. I think that's really fair. Honestly, the stage that Overt has had and the way that, you know, Chiefs coming into this, they know they've got playoff secure. There's not as much on the line for them as there is for Overt. I do think that that's fair.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt that Chiefs are the favorite team here, but Overt have the form. They have the surprise, and taking us to Oregon as well was a surprise from the Chiefs. They're also continuing this surprise in the nature of their setup. These operators, very loose roam going on. We've got Ethan upstairs reinforcing the attic hatch to try and fortify the meeting position. Even the downstairs setup around electrical was very unusual. So Chiefs are really throwing down the gauntlet and saying, Overt, let's see how you deal with something a little unexpected.
Really curious to see how this one gets approached. It seems like Overt have a pretty good read on what Chiefs are doing here, and they're well and truly trying to deal with this roam from the top floor down. Ethan no longer in attic either, but he is on the top floor of the big tower, tier 3, and this could be, oh god, this could just be so frustrating to try and deal with. He's got a good line as well. If Elements gets too close, he might go to his death, but it's actually Cairo in the meantime finds a pick onto Worthy. Things starting out with a bit of a bang here.
Ooh,
oh god,
and a second
Cairo?
as well. My god. Okay, Ethan is surely going to get caught off here. All right. Overt kicking things off with a bang-a-lang as there's only 2 players left for Chiefs.
What was that for Ethan? Just sending it out the tier 2 window.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Flawless to kickstart here. Overt having a bit of a laugh, but Digital, I mean, I don't really back him in this situation. He does not have the right gun for this. He does have a shield to get closer, but I mean, I'm not convinced at all here. Overt, what a stellar first round.
No doubt Overt have come out of the gates swinging here. They've even got info on Didge coming back with a flank with the clash. Can't even shoot a drone, mate. What are you doing, buddy? How many exit frags can he get? That's the question. Not a single one more. Overt making a statement here in their first round. Night flawless against the reigning champs.
Bit of style with a 360 as well. Oh God, Ethan. I am absolutely fired up for this match. I can tell. Elements, let him know.
This is so good, mate.
Let him know. This is what we want to be seeing. I tell you what, this right now from Overt is really making a statement. We've said it on the desk. We've said it in the past. Overt have been incredible, and I do mean incredible, at VOD reviewing their team that they're coming up against. We saw it with Wildcard. We've seen it multiple times. This right now, the Chiefs have not left that open. However, Overt are still playing to their game, and I tell you what, the first round, let's just hope it keeps going on that trend.
That's it, like you said. Chiefs started to take us to a map where Overt wouldn't really be able to study them very well. Chiefs would have been very unpredictable in this ban phase. But despite that, Overt dealt incredibly well with the aggression. We can see right on the back of that, Chiefs actually completely changed their tack. While they're going for the exact same bomb site they picked before, it's a very, very different lineup. Goodbye to the Clash. Goodbye to the Alibi. In fact, every single operator on this lineup is different from what we saw last round. Would you believe it? But there are some commonalities. We have a deployable shield in elbow, but overall, this is a much more default setup, a lot more common. And rather than testing Overt's counter aggression, this will test their fundamentals.
Overt surely would have got the information that Chiefs aren't on that third floor, so it shouldn't, or I guess second floor, third floor technically in a sense, but I would dare say this will be swift in taking this roam and ensuring that they are clearing every little nook and cranny along the way. Kind of element. Oh, okay, I thought he didn't hit that. I was going to say, you got to hit those. Nevertheless, Chiefs, I mean, do they have anyone on the second floor? Are they even going to contest Overt as they make their way in? It kind of feels like that Chiefs are certainly, as you said, playing a little bit more default on site and will be forcing fights down those choke points.
Pretty sure this is 5 men on site for the Chiefs. Much more default, full turtle strat. Now, Overt have taken the first minute to clear out the map, including meeting. I believe they might not have actually checked through meeting yet. Sawyer likely to drone that just now. But 5 players on site. Right now in this first phase of the round, all we're testing is Overt's map control. How fast and efficient are they at clearing when there's nothing to contend with? And it's actually important, you know, it's not as easy as it sounds to just clear out even when there are no players down there. Oh, I love the Candela. Ethan forced back. They haven't cut him off as of yet, but the opener is elsewhere.
Yeah, Twin. This is interesting. Ethan's going to re-aggress on the angle there. Looks like he's going to go aggressive as well, but there's 2 players watching him right now. Ethan, yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you there, Elements. I'll be honest with you. I'm not even disagreeing with that. Hit him with it.
Jeez, there is some friendly banter in the chat right now. I will admit, I don't know how friendly it is. As Cairo prepares the second Candela lights out down in the freezer as he starts to march on forward. There's under a minute left. And while Overt have the numbers advantage, they haven't actually taken a ton of control. That said, when they've got the picks, they'll just take this ground for free.
I mean, at this point, it's almost all but for free. Bisho and Worthy, what is going on? The 2v2. Turnover zealous from Overt, but Edpan somehow corrects his mistakes. And now Bisho's got to be so careful. They're going to double swing him. They sure are. Well played from Overt to finish that out, but too close for comfort.
It certainly did get close in the 5v2. Overt let it slip a little bit, but they recomposed, and their fundamentals are so good. Look at the timing on that final peak of that round. And imagine you're Fish, right? And you've got 2 angles to watch, the hallway and the close angle on the bomb. You've got to pick one. You can't watch both at once. You could try flick the second, but it's not going to be easy, especially not when both players swing at the exact moment. That is the level of coordination that Overt have, and that's your fundamentals that often even very high-level teams do not possess. Overt are really living up to expectations and exceeding them by far.
Well, it sure is in for a good game, regardless of what this outcome really leans into. This is going to be the match of the day. That's right, it certainly is the match of the day, Dev. If you do want to join in our $50 M-Wave giveaway, you got to go ahead and jump across to twitch.tv/Rainbow6ANZ. You have to be on the ANZ Rainbow Six channel. That's just as simple as it is. We're going to give you a keyword right now, and that keyword is finale. F-I-N-A-L-E. Go ahead and type that in the Twitch chat. We'll give you about around 2 rounds. I think it's the end of round 4 we do the giveaway here, so make sure you jump across onto the channel. And you know what? While you're there, stick around.
Absolutely. Give it a follow as well. Not only do we have the Oceanic Nationals live here on twitch.tv/Rainbow6ANZ, but we have the Oceanic Challenger League, which is the league that Overt came from. That's their bread and butter, and we still have 8 fantastic teams competing in there, 2 of which will have a shot at making it into OCN. On top of all that, every Monday during the stage, we have Reload, where you, me, and a bunch of other folks go and have a bit of a yarn and shoot the shit, and it's fun. So highly recommend you just keep an eye on the page, because all kinds of good content every week.
Certainly is. Certainly is fun, I'll say that much. Been a part of at least a little bit of it. I do enjoy being a part of this community and a part of this channel, so make sure you stick around. That's the most important image here. Worthy right now, extending across. This is a bit dangerous. Cairo just catching the line at the back of White Stairs. But oh my god, Digital, don't do it again, please. Overt are really starting to punish.
Indeed. Every bit of aggression from Cheese is carefully watched and catered for by the Overt guys. A lot of the hard breach being used here on the closet wall for this Dorm's defense. I love the usage of the double mute jammer. These days with mutes nerf, the change to the radius now being a sphere instead of a cylinder, you need the double mute jammers to make sure no breach can go down. Edpan's going to try and clear it off with the Flores, but it's not going to happen. We're going to need someone to go below to really clear off that utility. And as this time burns, so do Overt's chances of making this another clean round.
Drone economy is quite healthy as well, so that, oh, okay, they've lost another ride as I say that. So, you know, 5 drones to kind of utilize and get that information on if they can't get underneath, where they can go. So right now, I would dare say Overt are going to be taking their time crossing their T's. Elements that should be opening it up. I think it might have just got one of the mute jammers, but regardless, it's enough to get a line into that right side.
Indeed, now we can see the detriment caused by that mute nerf. Visho keen to get aggressive on the back of this, shotgun in hand. How many players are watching him? He doesn't know.
I want him to do it. Doesn't look like he's going to. He's going to be sitting patiently.
Twent.
Got to be so careful, because that's going to be the murder hole. Twent tries to swing wide, but it's Edpan starting to open things up here. Fisho can't find the shots, but it's Cairo who backstabs. And now 3 players left for the Chiefs to try and hold. Worthy coming back on a flank. This could be absolutely massive. Dude, they know where he is. My God, he can't connect the shots, and at that, Ethan falls on site. It is falling to pieces here.
But they need the diffuser. They need to go hunting. God Legion finds one. Worthy still on for the flank. They know God's position, but they don't have eyes on Worthy as he can make this flank count. 2 seconds, 1 second. But Cairo locks that diffuser now planted. Worthy and God Legion, the 2 highlight players from the Chiefs, but it's just Worthy now. He's got so much to do ahead of him. He's gonna have to make it a 4K on the retake. This C4 gets shots, and he needs to land the final one. It's Worthy versus Cairo as the time ticks down, and he doesn't know where Cairo is. Shots in the backside, and now we really test Cairo's mettle as Worthy goes for it, but Overt lock in the triple back-to-back rounds.
If I'm Chiefs right now, I'd be looking for attack timeout, I'll be completely honest. First round, bit of a gimme, you know? You get out of the gun.
There it is, mate.
Coach Manic, tell you what, move across Xenox. We've got a new coach on the desk here. Worthy does DC, don't know whether it's attack or attack. We'll confirm that for you in a second. But, you know, you look back at the rounds Overt have won. Round 1 was 100% a bit of a throwaway round from the Chiefs. They try something a little bit cheeky, it doesn't work. Round 2, they bunker down, right? They hold basement in a much firmer way, in a much more default manner, and they still can't make that work. Round 3, Overt are all over them. We're being told right now this is a technical timeout with Worthy DCing. So regardless, it gives both teams a chance to recompose because, I mean, this has been quite an explosive start.
Most definitely has. I've loved the usage of Ying from Overt, but it's not necessarily any particular wild card that we're seeing be the difference maker for Overt. It's the fact that every one of these players is a smart player, is a talented player, has got the mechanics to back it up, and that magical ingredient is the synergy that sticky tapes these 5 players together so that they're always on the same page, every single push.
And, you know, looking at the standings, he would be a happy man right now. He honestly really enjoyed having him on for the interviews and the reload that we had at the very start of the stage. It was fantastic to get a bit of insight into Overt, and, you know, not so much Overt as a mechanical team or a technical team, but more what they're like as, you know, as their personalities develop. And I think so far we've seen a lot from this man in front of us and the rest of them. I mean, Ed Pan's been an absolute character to have on the face cams, but really impressed so far with what we've seen from this roster. And again, you look at the overall standings for stage 3, if they can find this win, they are going to put immense pressure on both Rhythm and Rafflecopter. And I mean, boy, the storyline, the fairy tale for Overt to come into this stage after, unfortunately, LFO disbanded, it has just been this this beautiful blossoming flower, if you will.
There's no doubt Overt are rising stars. Sawyer in particular has really impressed me, not only as a player, but as a person. One of the most humble members of the community locally, and also experienced. He is the most experienced member of this Overt roster. Sawyer used to coach the Noble / Meloncat roster back in the day, which Fisher Guy was actually a part of. So former teammates here in the server on opposite sides.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
Now for the Chiefs, when does push become shove, right? When is... you know, what starts in laughter ends in tears kind of thing. When do we really go, okay, we need to sit you guys down and have a serious conversation right now? Because this is actually, when you look at the implications of what this match could mean. So if Overt are able to win outright, okay, they will jump up to 10 points. Regardless, we'll then wait to see what happens with Rhythm and Rafflecopter in their results, because there could still be a way in which, no, if Rafflecopter, if Overt win this in
regulation, they're on 8 points right now, right? So if they win in regulation, they go to 11, which means that Rafflecopter can't catch them, which means that irrespective of Rafflecopter and Rhythm's results, Overt will be locked into playoffs.
Yes, and what's even more spicy than that is if they can deny Chiefs of all 3 points and Rhythm are able to win in regulation against Knights, Chiefs will have to run the entire gauntlet to go the 3-peat. Like, this is actually kind of serious.
So what you're telling me right now is if Overt beat Chiefs in regulation time and Rhythm win their match in regulation time, then this match, Overt versus Chiefs, will be the opening game of the OCN playoffs.
Correct. How spicy. How spicy. Whew.
Very exciting time to be an OS fan when we have teams rising like this. And Overt are looking for the 4th. There's a roam from the Chiefs. It is Worthy. He has a C4 ready to toss aggressively or to make his own rotate. Cairo makes the entry, and he does catch Worthy as he attempts to rotate down, and Overt are just too good.
These guys are just on another level right now. I mean, I'm sure the Chiefs are kind of holding back in a, you know, I hate to say holding back in a sense, but their playoffs positions are set. Then they do not have the pressure that Overt have on them right now. So this is really starting to get a little bit dire, I want to say. You know, like, if Overt just continue to run away with this, I mean, we really need to start asking questions of the Chiefs. We'll get there when we get there, but certainly, I think every single round, Overt has opened that bank account, which is just being so detrimental to the Chiefs.
The Chiefs once again relying on this loose roam playstyle. Here's Ethan. Oh my God! How does Edpan win that? And Ethan is yet to really get into the game. 0-4. As it looks like our round scoreline is about to be the same for Chiefs.
God, Overt, man. They are just lining these up one by one. They're ticking the boxes as they go. It's only God Legion left. I say only, but he is one of the most clutch players we've seen in recent times. He's now found himself in Freezer. He can deny the kit, but this is surely undoable. Not undoable, impossible. Hang on, don't peek him one by one. God damn it again, Overt. You're giving me a heart attack. But that is 4 straight rounds. What?
4 rounds back-to-back attack on Oregon. Overt are a force to be not underestimated. Certainly an opponent that you need to give your full respect to, and Chiefs just haven't quite done so yet. These roams are being shut down. 3 out of the 4 rounds so far, it's been Overt to open the round with the first kill. And every single time there has been no trade. Often there have been multiple kills from Overt with 0 response from the Chiefs. That round was a 1 versus 5 for God Legion, the second of which we've seen this game. Overt are astonishing.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
Shock and Awe has definitely kind of summed up their stage 3. There's no doubt about it. They've come in and, I mean, there really has been little faults to pick at. That's what is just the most insane thing about this new roster in OCN. You know, generally when we see a roster step up to this kind of level, you can pick holes and maybe their playstyle's a little bit aggressive, or maybe, you know, for example, the teams in OCN aren't prepared for what they're going to throw at them. But in all honesty, from everything I've seen, Overt have just been so clinical. They have looked like a team that deserve to be here, and they're showing it right now on the server. Chiefs are no pushovers. They are literally the best team in OCN. They have currently taken the seasonal standings of 2021. They are first, and they cannot be knocked off that perch. That is just, they are hard stuck there right now, which is pretty insane. Now, the question becomes, you know, what more can Overt do? Can they continue to, I mean, I'm just going to say it, can they continue to embarrass Chiefs like this? This is not what you want to be seeing from the back-to-back champions.
Even asleep, even off their game, Chiefs should be able to find a couple rounds here. And this, like you say, has been embarrassing. There's no way you can beat around that bush. This is not the Chiefs that we have been expecting. Ethan's yet to really appear in the server. Worthy is never getting traded when he's the opening death. Overt are playing it so well. Here comes a Candela for Cairo.
Bomb located by attackers.
And that suppressor rings out as well. Worthy looks to reaggress, but his opponent has vacated. As Overt turn their attention primarily to this big tower execute here on this kitchen meeting defense.
Again, are they going to just kind of chip away bit by bit? The check boxes, are they being ticked? Are they starting to go through the motions and just put that little bit of extra added pressure onto the Chiefs? Not this time. God Legion stands up and says no more. Elements goes down. And now we really start to see what Overt are made of.
Can they fight from behind when one player down? Still a lot of heavy presence from the Chiefs on that bomb site in meeting, denying that plant. Digital in such a strong position. Also players upstairs for the Chiefs. Oh, sorry, it's Fisho guy in that position. Digital above in attic, ready to retake from above as well. Overt need to get this man advantage equalized or back on their side before they can commit to a push here.
getting a little bit scary now. Chiefs have done an incredible job at stalling Overt's progress. They've been able to get that meeting wall open. They've got a little bit to work with in toward Attic. But the problem is, how are you going to deal with Digital? He can sit in pit and he can just wait and bait for as long as he wants. Cairo's going to send it into kitchen now. This is going to get a little bit dangerous for the Chiefs as they start to back away, completely blind. Cairo is now in position with Sawyer finding the first opening, but it's Fisho. Of course, it's Fisho. Just stands strong. He finds a third as well in the round, and Sawyer is left to try and clean anything that he can up.
Pinged out as well by the Alibi's Prisma. Baits out a couple of shots, but that won't save him. It looks like Fisho Guy has locked this round in with that huge 3K. Chiefs are finally on the scoreboard.
That is absolutely nuclear from Fisho Guy. I mean, that just toppled the entire push. I thought for a second they were looking damn dangerous. They had Sawyer pushing into kitchen to ensure that players couldn't rotate freely. They were starting to pinch in from all different angles. Sorry, it was Cairo. It was actually Sawyer who was trying to take the fights from outside of the meeting double wall. And now we have seen Chiefs bite back. Overt will not want to let them back into this game. This is always a dangerous point, especially when you're up against a roster like the Chiefs. You cannot leave that door more than slightly ajar, even ajar, and the Chiefs will just push their way in. So now it's about slamming it shut in their face.
And a 5-1 would definitely set them up for that. Chiefs would have to have a monstrous attack half, in particular with no Finker and no Yana, which funnily enough hasn't really been a talking point in this match so far. We remarked upon the crazy operator bans coming into the game, but since then it hasn't been hugely impactful because it's, in honesty, just Overt playing really, really well. And if I want to get really analytical about it, you could say that Chiefs are playing so loose because that Jaeger is spanned. They can't fortify themselves behind positions. And Overt is countering that aggression from the Chiefs really well. But when we did start to see the Chiefs just bunker down, wait for Overt to come to them, that's when we started seeing those results. That's when Fisho used that anchor position to find a multi-kill that opened up the round for Chiefs. If Chiefs can adapt, and in this final round of the half, start playing slow, I think they can make it work. Nice attempt at a spawn peek for Worthy, but he doesn't get anything. At least he gets away with his life.
I mean, that felt like it should have been the opening kill so early on as well. Worthy was just in such a prime position to be able to take that fight. Doesn't end up happening, and really liking this time management from Elements. Really love not wasting a second when you're on someone like the Ash, where you can use those projectiles to start to make life a little bit easier for your team, where you can start to make it a lot easier for the likes of Sawyer, and Twent, sorry, which are the hard breachers on this roster. But it looks like Fisho's gone back and actually put another mute jammer down. That's big brain.
Very risky, but may well pay off here. We haven't seen Twent look for a breach as of yet. It'll force Elements to go back downstairs. Elements should know in a moment, if he gets close here, that mute jammer has been replaced. And Fisho Guy, while he is anchoring, he's looking very aggressive and could swing out and punish Overt if they're not too careful.
Really nice spread from Overt right now. 2 in bedroom, 1 down in dining, with 2 across toward attic, starting to open things up. I am really impressed with their management of, considering what the Chiefs do sometimes. They are really taking a lot of space and suffocating them back to site. You still got to be careful of the flanker from the Chiefs, who is currently down in basement and could well catch Overt off if they're not careful.
Five drones are still up for Overt to keep watch of these flanks. A lot of presence downstairs. Worthy also has a C4. Cairo lurking. Whoever makes the first move will make the most noise. Likely be the victim. Worthy running around. He may go for a flank here for Cairo, but he actually rotates back. Fish now finds one, but gets down for the trouble as Overt start to really pressure this bomb site.
Yeah, what's a massive problem right now is Worthy and God Legion's position. They're going to have to try and get into places where they can start to choke Overt out. And Sean, no, that's not the one that you want, but that's okay. It's not all bad. Fisher was already down. They're going to go ahead and go up White Stairs. Both teams playing together, but they're going to find the quick trades. It's now on to Worthy. He can definitely win this in a 1 versus 2, Dev. 10 seconds left. Oh!
You can't get it done. That rounds out the half. 5-1 for Overt. Our match of the day is turning out to be a huge upset. Overt are 5-1 up over the 2-time OCN champions, the Chiefs. Overt are looking unstoppable, and with this lead, it seems almost unattainable for the Chiefs to make this comeback happen.
Certainly is. Now look, if you want to be as good as Overt, if you want to shock and awe every team you come up against, well, look no further than Samsung's latest range of the NVMe SSDs. These bad boys will take you places nothing else can. And I tell you what, a team like Overt, they're showcasing what it can really do. Make sure you go ahead and type in !SSD in the Twitch chat to find out more.
10 seconds to go.
I do wonder where the Chiefs will bring the same level of aggression on their attacks as we saw from Overt. Quick rehost as we go through this minor tech pause. What is the play now for the Chiefs? Overt have this advantage and they can just ride this out. They just need to play their defaults on the defense. Take no risks. But Chiefs, there's really no second chances for them. They need to have a bang-on attack half. 6 rounds in a row in order to win this in regulation, which, if you remember, Manic, is the only way that the Chiefs can end up first on the OCN Stage 3 standings and therefore seed directly into the grand final. If Chiefs lose even another round here, then Bliss and Knights are going to be very, very happy about that.
That is so true. You smack bang on the money. This is devastating right now for the Chiefs in terms of the gauntlet, in terms of their Stage 3 playoffs, because right now this is where things turn the tide and we start to have that conversation about they've let a couple of big games slip that they shouldn't have. And, you know, the rhythm game comes to mind, and now this one with Overt comes to mind. All in all, you know, I think Chiefs have been pretty comfortable with what they've been able to achieve in Stage 1, 2, and now 3 to a certain extent. But this is huge from Overt. They are playing unbelievably well. The win secures so many different storylines for them, and we'll go over them, I'm sure, when we get to that post-match. And also have an incredible discussion with the ever-wonderful Sawyer, who I am sure is going to have a grin ear to ear if they continue to play the way they are against the Chiefs. Not only in the way that they're doing it, but also in securing their playoffs in the very first stage that they've played in OCN. It's crazy. It's utterly crazy.
It's astonishing. And you can also look at players on Overt that are really coming into their own, keeping in mind that Sawyer is the only player with experience at this top level of OS, and even that was just as a coach. Ed Pan, I believe, ended that half at 10-2.
Yeah, double digits. Insane. Absolutely insane. I mean, to think about the fact that, you know, before coming to this stage, we were kind of umming and ahhing about what Overt could achieve, and we were all on the general consensus that they had nothing to lose, so they could throw everything but the kitchen sink and just see what sticks. Right now, there is a lot of things that are clicking for this team, and the individual skill 100% comes hand in hand with that, Dev. You can't have the kind of performance that you're having at the moment without those individual players stepping up, and Ed Pan is the perfect example of that. Cairo as well has had unbelievable unbelievable games all stage. You know, Twent and Elements have had the chip in terms of just the kills. I'm not even talking about the impact of their plays, the live droning and what they do. But this roster just has so much potential heading into 2022. And I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I think we're already seeing that toward the end of stage 3. I am 100% convinced that by the time that we refresh the season, we head to 2022, this is going to be one of the teams that we consider a top contender for OCN.
Absolutely, and it's astonishing to see in a team that doesn't have many veterans on it. We talk about a team like Bliss, a lot of new faces or young up-and-coming gunners on that squad, but they have the veterans guiding it, Shade and Todd. Sawyer is the only real veteran on this squad, and you can't really call him that. He coached for a team at this level for 6 to 9 months, I believe, when they were Noble, Meloncat, and that's not like having a player like Fisher guy on your squad, who is a huge brain, one of the most experienced. And I mean, we look at the Chiefs as a whole, all of these players are veterans now, and the only one that probably wouldn't get called a veteran is Worthy. But even then, I mean, he's been playing for bloody forever as well. Yeah. And so it's really tough to look at Overt and think, wow, this is actually a team that can consistently punch far above their weight. And I think that we actually have to bump them up a couple weight grades at this point, because we have consistently underestimated this roster. And I think it comes down to two things. I think firstly, there is a humility that comes with this roster. They didn't have high expectations coming into stage 3, into OCN. Their goal was just to book their spot in next year by playing in that relegations tournament. Yeah. And their second feat that I think really sets them apart from everyone else is their hunger. There is no team hungrier than Overt.
And that's just it right now in stage 3. You know, some of these teams are kind of just, you know, preparing for what will be the end of season run, whether it's the end of season playoffs, the end of season promo rally, whatever it is. Certain teams are starting to kind of put their mind toward it, but Overt are just pushing and pushing and pushing. And again, when we see this performance, I think this, honestly, Dev, this caps off what has been an incredible campaign for them here in stage 3. This point right at this half, unless somehow Chiefs come back and win 5 straight, or 6 straight they're going to need to win, I honestly just think that this is it's the icing on the cake. It's the cherry on top for what has just been an explosive performance from this team, busting down the doors of OCN. And you know, there's so many conversations that we've had in the past about where teams kind of stand and you know, the performances of OCL teams versus OCN teams and the difference between the two. But two teams that we are looking at in terms of their 2021 performances, Rafflecopter and Overt. Overt are showing us here in stage 3, and Rafflecopter have consistently shown us for stage 1, 2, and 3 that they're able to do it. So what I'm trying to get at here is that this entire scene, ANZ, is really starting to close that gap in terms of where we kind of see, you know, the bottom teams versus the top teams, which for such a long time was not the storyline. We were always talking about it being a top-heavy region. And you look at like 2020, for example, where it was just wildcard dominance. And now coming into 2021, on any given night, it could be a completely different result. And you're seeing it right now. 5-1 up for Overt. They now move to the defensive Oregon. Like, this is comfort zone for them. They won't be in cruise control in terms of like the way that they approach this, but they are in cruise control now. They are hitting their strides week after week. And I just couldn't be happier. And I know that there are some fans at home that are probably listening to us thinking, you know, stop talking about Overt, talk about the Chiefs. But we have done that for such a long time, Dev.
And that's why it's so special to talk about Overt. And like you said, now 1 round will guarantee them at least overtime. 2 rounds and Overt guarantee themselves playoffs. If they win in regulation, they cannot be below 5th place, and Rhythm and Ruffle will really have the pressure on for their own matches. Overt, really, realistically, should be able to get those 2 rounds. They should be able to win this in regulation. I have a bit of a fun fact from Blue Panda, who casted these guys back in OCL Stage 2. Throughout Stage 2, Overt only dropped 17 rounds in the regular round robin phase. Only 5 of those were defense rounds. So historically, much stronger on their defense than their offense. And we just saw them go 5-1 on their attack.
Yeah.
So that sets up Overt incredibly well here against the Chiefs to lock in their first ever OCN playoffs appearance.
Boy, oh boy. This is an entertaining one. There's no doubt about it. I just, you know, it is a little. I'm just gonna put it out on the table here. It's a little bit of a shame that we're not seeing more from the Chiefs right now. And look,
it is.
We understand.
Why is that?
Well, I guess we do have to understand the implications of them going all in on a match like this, where they're already secured for OCN playoffs, and you know there's still 2 play days left of APAC South. There's also OCN and APAC South APAC overall playoffs to come. So I think there's a lot going on for the Chiefs right now, and this is a game where they can probably focus on, I guess, having a bit of fun. I hate saying that, it really rips me to shreds, but I think we do have to be realistic here and look at Chiefs and go, okay, they're not coming into this the same as they would a game against the Knights in the Gauntlet Run, you know, grand final, for example. So credit where credit is due.
I want to play devil's advocate on that.
Please,
We've already spoken to the Knights and heard that they changed their strategy around OCN in Stage 3 previously. They didn't go full pelt during the regular stage and instead invested their effort into making the Gauntlet Run. This time, they said to themselves, look, we realize if we go hard in the regular stage and we end up first, which is currently where Knights are sitting, they only have to play that grand final. It puts so much less pressure on them, even in terms of hiding strats. Like, you don't have to play all these BO3s where you're going to be showing all of your extra maps out. And, I mean, the Chiefs not winning this does put them in a precarious position to potentially have to do the entire bracket run, like you mentioned earlier, which would mean 4 different matches.
10 seconds left.
And, I mean, that's only next weekend. They've still got APAC South matches and potentially APAC playoffs matches to play after that as well.
It's very true. You make a fantastic point there that, you know, when you think about the implications of the gauntlet and where you finish versus where you're going to get the opportunity, it is actually huge. I'm just going to bring up one final stat before we jump back into this game and really focus on it. The Chiefs have Invictus Gaming coming up on Thursday. Now, that is for top spot in APAC South, which could directly invite them to the major should they beat Order on the final play day as well. So I'm sure that there is just so much going on for the Chiefs right now that their minds are not exactly in this game. However, I 100% agree, and I don't agree with the fact that, like, in my head, maybe the Chiefs are having a laugh here, because it really does put a lot of pressure on you next weekend should you have to try and run that gauntlet and play all these different teams on all these different maps. It's just not a good look. But let's get underway here. It is... Thank you very much for sticking around for that technical timeout, or the rehost, we should say. It is Chiefs on the attack, and I mean, really, their backs are just well and truly up against the wall.
No doubt. They're attacking the laundry supply room bomb site, and we're seeing Overt leverage some of the tools that were left available that the Chiefs didn't want to touch. We saw their clash in Chiefs' first round, but wasn't impactful because it was digital in a 1v5. We see Overt backing up that clash with a deployable shield from Warden, another deployable shield from Smoke, and 2 mirror windows. Now, while we already have one of those shields been destroyed somehow, we're seeing that Overt has such a strong anchor setup, and Chiefs haven't even begun to touch it. This is a real concern. I think when it comes down to the Chiefs trying to execute, there is so much bloody utility and power positions that Overt have. It is going to be such a nightmare for Chiefs.
Now, don't forget, this round right now is massive. If Chiefs let this slip and Overt secure at the very least the overtime point, match point, Chiefs will 100%, the best place they can finish in OCN is 3rd, meaning they will 100% have to play, 3 games, 3 best of 3. So this right now is massive for the Chiefs.
That's it. Chiefs need to win in regulation. They could potentially skip 2 games in the playoffs. Otherwise, it's going to be a rough road ahead. Now, Overt starting to feel that pressure as Chiefs really begin mounting their attack onto the bomb site. Heavy blue presence with Ethan tempted to go for a drop in through Freezer, but with the mirror window facing, it's going to be difficult. 30 seconds left. Chiefs have not made enough ground here. There are so many power positions. Blue on site, Ed Pan and Harry Potter. And while there's no gas left, Chiefs don't seem to have any gas left in the tank either.
Nah, this is hook, line, and sinker. This is just 100% an overt round. If the Chiefs can bring this back, I'll be gobsmacked. Cairo finds one, finds a second. God Legion now. He's starting to swing, but it's pretty much done and dusted here. Can Ethan and God Legion get something done? No, it's Ed Pan again. He finds himself a double, and I tell you what, Overt are just on another level. They take match points.
Take a deep drink, Sawyer. This game won't last much longer. That is a bloody big drink bottle from Cairo, and he is just taking long drafts of the Chiefs right now. There doesn't seem to be anything left for the Chiefs in their attack. A 6-1 scoreline. Overt manhandling the Chiefs in this match and look to finish it off here on their Dorms defense. Best that Chiefs can push for is an overtime win, but that's going to have to be another 7 rounds to get it done.
And here it is. Chiefs 100% finish third here. Worst case scenario, they might even finish fourth. I mean, my goodness. We're now starting to set the tone for what we will expect come next weekend. But let's have a look at the setup for Overt now. They've got a butt ton of shields. You know, Chiefs cannot let that round slip away as much as they did in the previous one, Dev, because that, honestly, you prefaced it perfectly. Overt were playing such an anchor-heavy strat that when push came to shove for the Chiefs, they had no room to move on site. Everywhere was watched. Every angle was covered. And even though they fought back valiantly, it's not enough. There's not enough time for you to play with. So I'm looking at Chiefs right now and asking, can we speed things up?
And to get analytical for a second, if there's one thing that you can do to dislodge an anchor-centric setup, it's ban Jaeger and play all kinds of projectiles. You play the Ying like we saw from Overt. And Chiefs, firstly, didn't really do that. Like, they brought a couple of nades and a couple of flashes, which is great, but it's just not the same. We didn't see them leveraged very well. In contrast, Overt were bringing the Warden because they expected the Ying to come through. Overt were 2 steps ahead of Chiefs. They had thought of what Chiefs could do to counter their setup and then brought the counter to that. And Chiefs were just so far behind.
God leaving the server in one more bloody round, I tell you what, because there's going to be nothing left for the Chiefs. But God Legion down in the basement. He's going to have a bit of work to do as he comes up Freezer stairs as well. It looks like Digital is going to be side by side, trying to clear out these positions on that first floor. Kitchen and meeting right now is where Overt are sticking a lot of their presence on that floor. So there has to be a fight at some point. And right now, seems like Chiefs have made decent time to, at the very least, approach the idea of it.
Ooh, Elements may get caught. Oh, yeah, indeed he does. God Legion does find the opening pick, and that is only the 4th time this entire game that Chiefs have found that opening. No trade as well. I believe that means that Chiefs should have a lot of this control downstairs as Digital also makes his way through. Now, they just have to be cautious of these flanks. Cairo down in Freezer could mount one up the stairs.
It's just going from bad to worse here for Overt. Ed Pan goes down, I believe, on site. Oh, Cairo, that's unfortunate. He was nearly at the top of Freezer stairs and may have been able to go for a play, but they now know Chiefs can isolate him or they can choose to ignore him and hope that he doesn't have an impact. Twent on site. Oh, well, God. For how much longer? That's the big question. Oh, the Chiefs. This is what we expected to be seeing from them. This is the way they bounce back.
It is, but where was this 10 rounds ago, Chiefs? My God, they finally have what looks like a Chiefs round. The Chiefs that we know and we love, but could it be too little, too late? 6-2 is the scoreline in Overt's favor. The Chiefs have finally woken up.
It's like a sleeping giant though, right? You really don't want the giant to wake up and catch you trying to steal those golden goose. And unfortunately, when you think about the implications for Chiefs, it's pretty much off the table now for first place or for second place. What they can do, however, is deny Overt another 2 points, which would really make the rest of tonight incredibly spicy, with Roffle, Rhythm, and Overt all fighting for that, the final 2 spots of the playoffs. And it just depends on how this goes. But I just, you know, as much as I'm leaning into that, Dev, as much as we're trying to tell that storyline, Overt have just played far too well tonight to let that slip.
It seems impossible here for Overt to lose this match, but they'll always have that buffer of being able to go back to laundry supply in just one round's time. Like, win or lose this round, well, I mean, if they win this round, then it's over. They won't need to go downstairs. But if they lose this round, Overt should be pretty happy that they can go back downstairs. I'm also loving these rotations downstairs from Edpan. He's looking to roam in the basement. Looks like he's got some early support from Cairo as well. A lot of attacking squads like to take the control of the basement. There, Edpan comes right up the hatch. Oryx, big, strong man, gets it done. I think this is a good counter from Overt. They're very aware of the normal way to attack this bomb site, which is to take downstairs control and then mount a big tower push. They're already establishing a presence in that area.
Cairo can stick down there for as long as he so pleases as well, because Chiefs are going to have to deal with him sooner or later. And nice timing from the Chiefs here, knowing full well there's nothing in Big Tower. And there goes Edpan. Worthy falls to his knees as the Chiefs may well too. Goodness me. Another opening frag for Overt.
So big hitter down as well for the Chiefs. Fisher Guy in a great position to open up this wall. Nice little Mav trick. Make this wall soft without too much trouble whatsoever. Oh, Ethan almost found that head as he saw Twent for just a moment. How actively are Chiefs watching this flank? That's my question. I don't see anyone watching Cairo's position. Is there someone maybe in blue that's keeping their eye on it?
I think we just saw someone run to construction then. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So Digital is kind of keeping an eye on it. Thing is here, there's a lot of rotations downstairs for Cairo to work around, and might actually catch Chiefs off guard, as they won't expect that mobility available to Cairo.
Digital's completely off the blue line. Cairo obviously has no clue about that yet. But the best part about Cairo's position is he can sit and wait. He can wait for the timing where Chiefs have to start getting a move on, and he might be able to find that small, slim chance that Chiefs aren't watching. But speaking of watching, God Legion, he has a pretty good idea that there might be a player on the side of the map, but Elements is still in Freezer Stairs now, and he may well stay there.
Very patient push here for Chiefs, keeping it very, very simple. They got the 2 main guys working on the wall, and then the rest of their players are just lurking, waiting to catch off of it on a rotation. Might not have enough firepower to really crack the bomb site though, and they need to be actively watching this fight. They're just not. That's the thing. Cairo's going to find a double here, surely.
I mean, this is just hook, line, and sinker. This is the match done. Write it in the book, ladies and gents, because I just cannot see Chiefs bringing this one back. It's Edpan that finds Ethan, who is already down, but the Chiefs are on site for right this second. Look at Overt. This is just a kill box right now. It's going to be another kill for Edpan, a triple in the round, and Fisho may well be the only player left. My goodness. What a performance from Overt, and they have just booked their spot in Stage 3 playoffs for OCN.
From OCL to OCN to the playoffs. What a story for these underdogs. An incredibly dominant performance taking down the reigning champions. Overt could not be more ecstatic, more happy with themselves after that amazing game. There is no doubt they deserve to be in OCN.
Could not really, there's no other way of putting that. They seriously have shown us time and time again that they are the team that deserves to be here. And you know what, 2022, should they make it through the relegations? Hey, there's still a chance, but should they make it through the relegations, it's going to be unbelievable for this roster. Vast, watching that game, like, I mean, Was that Chiefs just letting everything slip, or were Overt really taking that?
A bit of both. I think Overt were, playing well for all things considered. I think the Chiefs, honestly, were just asleep. They didn't really look like they wanted to win today, to be honest. And I know you guys kind of touched on about the implications of, this match and the Chiefs situation. But, for a team that, with their experience, I would have, liked to see a bit more of them kind of using that experience. You can still play default stuff and, not reveal any strats. And, yeah, today they just didn't really look like they're on the same page and kind of asleep, yeah.
Oh, Dev.
It didn't feel, like you said, I just want to reinforce it. I think you pointed out really well. It's not like they were playing like they wanted to hide strats. They looked like they were playing like they didn't want to win. Like you said,
yeah.
There's a difference, and that's just so astonishing to see from the Chiefs, and incredibly disappointing.
And again, this is a conversation that we lean back into. Now, I don't want to be too, I don't want this whole post-match for us to be, for lack of a better word, pooping on the Chiefs. But, it is something that I've prefaced in the past, that it is disappointing to see the best teams in our region kind of take this for granted, take this opportunity in OCN for granted. Because Chiefs, they could well have secured the fact that they don't have to play an extra best of 3 or maybe 2 best of 3s on top of. There is a world in which they have to play 4 games. 3 best of 3s and a best of 5 should they make it through to the grand final. It's just insane, but really centering in on Overt here. I mean, oh my God, what a performance from Edpan. I know he went mental, but that's insane.
Yeah, that's astonishing. He got more kills than the 2 top fraggers on the Chiefs combined, and a quarter of as many deaths as those 2 players as well. With 3 multi-kills too, the Twitch was the operator that Edpan was let loose and just farmed.
Yeah. It's scary, isn't it, Vast, to allow a team like Overt and players like Edpan, like Cairo, just to allow them the room to do that. I mean, you just can't do it, can you?
Yeah, I mean, this game is it's quite interesting because I think that on paper it might not look as important as some of the other matchups, but I think Overt having that convincing win really will give them, the morale's going to be really good leading into playoffs. They're going to all feel confident. There's going to be no reason for them to doubt themselves, and I think their mentality and mindset coming into playoffs will be really strong.
It's a beautiful thing, to be honest. And, well, speaking of beautiful things, let's bring in Sawyer as the ever-grinning leader of this team. Mate, look, I cannot say enough. The biggest congratulations to you and your entire roster. You guys have just booked your Stage 3 OCN playoffs. How does this feel coming from OCL and immediately doing this?
Thank you. Yeah, we thought we could do well. We didn't expect playoffs, but we're here now. That's the reality we live in, so we're very happy. Happy to get the win. We were very disappointed we didn't win against Ruffle last week. It was quite bad from our part, but we got the win today, so no complaints whatsoever.
Yeah, just congratulations for, all your performances so far this season. I kind of want to talk about, playoffs for you guys. In the past, we've seen teams like Bliss come out of nowhere and kind of do what you guys have done, but then they've kind of struggled in playoffs. So what's, the prep going to look like for you guys? Is there anything kind of internally you guys want to work on leading up for playoffs?
Well, obviously with best of ones, you're preparing for just one map, right? So each week you scrim 3 to 4 maps, and then that's about it. So sometimes you neglect maps, but there's maps that we scrim every week and we haven't played yet. So we're excited for best of 3s. I think it's a true testament of what a team is capable of. I think best of ones is very dependent on the map veto and operator bans. I think that plays a big part. So best of 3s, yeah, we're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to it. Relegations also best of 3, so it'd be good to get some practice in. But yeah, just looking basically just fine tune all our maps really.
Yeah, mate. Look, we've often talked about how Overt's a very fresh team. You yourself do have quite a bit of experience at this level, though, not necessarily as a player, but back when you coached the Noble Meloncat roster. You were playing against Fisho today. What was that like?
I played against all the boys. They're all in OCN, so I was the final missing piece, I guess, so I'm happy to join them. But no, it's nice to play against them. They're fantastic players. Our whole roster's very, very good, so it's just fun to play, really fun.
A missing piece of the puzzle is now filled in. Look, and I suppose for stage 3, you guys have really put things together, and you know, the perspective now is heading into playoffs. You guys are just looking absolutely incredible, and I know the boys have already touched on, you know, the best of 3 format and things like that. There is a very small chance that you can make this entire gauntlet run and actually miss relegations completely. I want to get your thoughts. How is the team feeling about that opportunity? Do you think this is possible for you?
We've known that since the start of the season, to be honest with you. We always have to finish top 2 because we assumed Riven would finish bottom 2. That's not the case, so I think now we have to win it. So yeah, we can't do that the whole time, but no, we're just looking one game at a time. I think if we make, like, I don't know who's finishing second, but I think if we make that match the semi-final, I think then we start to believe. But until then, we're just going to look to enjoy it, make the most of the situation, and hopefully win a few games.
Mate, you are far too humble, and you bring a smile to my face. I know the other boys can concur with that. Look, we'll give you the floor, Sawyer. Final words before we let you go.
No, as always, shout out to our organisation, Overt. I appreciate their support for us. Shout out to all the people that support us. My mum is watching, of course, and just everyone that supports us. Really grateful for it, and hopefully I see you guys here. I think it's next week, the playoffs, so hopefully I'll talk to you again when we win. But we'll see.
Yeah, look, I guess we will see, mate. Thank you very much, and once again, congratulations. We will see you next week, no doubt.
Thank you.
By the way, hey, Mama Sawyer, I have to just get that in there before we come back to cameras. So let's just talk about this very quickly. The implications mean Chiefs absolutely cannot finish better than 3rd place. There is a chance that they finish 4th place, depending on the rhythm matchup. But certainly this has this has opened up tonight. I'll be completely honest there, Dev. Puts pressure on Rhythm and Roffle now. This is certainly going to be a barn burner of a night.
That's absolutely it. We had 3 teams coming in tonight that hadn't been locked for playoffs, but were gunning for it. One of those teams is now locked in. Astonishing to think that Overt came into stage 3, and some people were saying, do they even deserve to be in OCN? They didn't play a match to qualify. They were invited. No, there is absolutely no doubt. I think Overt deserves to be in OCN almost as much, if not more, than half the teams that we do have in OCN. And it is so exciting to see them play well. I can't wait to see how they go in playoffs.
Vast having a little giggle there. I think I concur with that giggles.
I don't know, it's just a bit funny sometimes, just how this season's kind of turned out.
Yeah.
But no, I totally agree with everything Dev said.
Well, I guess there's only one more thing for us to do, and that is to go to a short break, because on the other side, Roffle copped a fight for their 3rd consecutive playoff spot. We'll be back after this.